Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Red Shirt Report, brought to you by StackUp.org. Veterans are our mission and gaming is our passion. I am Chris Clue Miller.
And I am Chris, the game case, a.k.a. Cuddles Case. So, the big news of this week's boardroom meeting was talking about Call to Arms a little bit. We had our twice yearly focus on our year-round fundraiser, which we call to Arms. Went for Veterans Day weekend and the weekend following. Big, huge shout out to everyone that participated in that, everybody that raised money. Special mentions to Rainbow Six and Squad for stacking up with us, bringing some of their incredible and amazing streamers. One of the cool things that I saw this last weekend was a gentleman by the name of Shroud raised a little under $16K in less than 3 hours.
Wow.
That man is an absolute machine with a viewer base larger than I've ever seen on Twitch. So huge thank you to Shroud. But also I want to mention one of the other stories that came out of the weekend very quickly. And that was we have a gentleman by the name of Nightmare Actual. This guy is not a veteran. He's simply a volunteer, much like myself. He's just a guy that has a big heart for vets and runs our stack in Puerto Rico, actually. If anybody's been following the news or watching the weather in the last few months, you know, Puerto Rico got hit pretty hard. Nightmare Actual himself has actually been out of power for now over 50 days. At the time of Call to Arms, it was 43 days, I believe. That guy didn't just throw out some tweets or tell us that he was excited about Call to Arms. He went and found a generator, a gas-powered generator, to run his computer and his hotspot so that he could stream for Call to Arms. Like sitting in a room with one lamp and a generator running his PC. So, like, huge thanks to everybody that showed up. Call to Arms was a wonderful success. We do have, for those that stream for us, go to we will drop a link in chat right now. There is a form on our rewards page to fill out to make sure that you get any rewards that are due you or your channel. And also, just want to throw out a reminder that the potential for earning any of those goes through the end of the month. So, if you missed your opportunity to do a Call to Arms stream, we still have a few more days here left. I know we actually have a stream going live on Friday for Call to Arms. We have a few more people that are going to be streaming through the end of the month and even on into December. Call to Arms, while it focuses on a couple times a year, it is year-round. So anytime you would like to raise funds for Stack Up, please feel free to get in touch with myself or anyone on staff. But while I was busy running Call to Arms this last weekend and wrangling all the people and actually working the tweeter machine, the rest of the staff decided to kick off their shoes and go on vacation.
That's right.
Where did everybody go?
They went to PAX Unplugged. So this is basically PAX Baltimore. Is that right? Philadelphia. So as some of you may or may not be aware, PAX is obviously a big gaming convention, all video game centric. However, PAX Unplugged is it's gaming centric, but not video games. So PAX Unplugged focuses primarily around non-electronic gaming. So like board games, role-playing games, all kinds of stuff like that. So a lot of the staff went down to PAX Unplugged, had themselves a great time, threw some dice, moved some pieces around boards, talked to some good folks down there, made a lot of good contacts for us, and just had kind of a good time in a different medium for gaming. So we'll see what happens with that. Maybe some of our some of the things we can throw out for maybe stream rewards or something. Maybe we come out with some board games. There might be something in there. Maybe we'll see what happens. But PAX Unplugged, good time had by all, and hopefully we'll have a more permanent presence there next year.
Well, and I wanna take a quick opportunity to tell a little bit of a behind the scenes story that some of you guys might have seen on Twitter. And that is, so we're a charity. We try to save money. We try to do everything we can to keep our operating costs under control. So there was a cheaper hotel booked for this actual event, and I won't call out the name of the hotel, but you could go over to our CEO Shanghai Six, go over to his Twitter and see this story. They walked in, and the way the story was told to me from Sketch, our director of media, was roaches tried to carry off his liter of Mountain Dew. They saw no less than like 10 or 12 roaches in the few minutes that they were inside of this hotel room. Now, we will do a lot. We will stack people on air mattresses on top of air mattresses. We will sleep on floors, on couches. It doesn't on porches. I've seen that happen. We will do whatever it takes to keep the costs low. This was a case where they did find an equally value-oriented hotel, but with a slightly less high roach population.
Right.
So
they weren't sharing residency with the insects.
Yes, that, my friends, is a peek into the glamorous life of charity living. But moving forward from that into something that actually is glamorous, we have a new event coming up, something planned for just a couple weeks away from now. I know there's probably a few folks in our listening audience, and I know in our Stack Up community, they're big fans of this little indie game. I think it's made by some company called Bungie, maybe? I don't know. Maybe. It's called Destiny 2. The kids are all talking about it. It seems like it's a really big deal. But no, Destiny 2 is launching its first DLC, The Curse of Osiris, in just a couple of weeks. And we have an event paired up to go with that called The Holidays of Osiris. Now, this is going to run December 8th, and all weekend through the 10th. The big pull for this is we're organizing a bunch of Destiny streamers to support Stack Up, raise some money, and in return, we're going to give 2 lucky winners the opportunity to raid with Bungie developers.
That's cool. That's pretty cool.
There's 2 really cool things I want to say about that. Is one, we've done a raiding with devs event before, during a previous fundraiser, and it was really cool. It got streamed. The devs answered a lot of questions. They were even throwing out cool stuff for like donation goals. The amount of information and the amount of insight that we got into Destiny as a game, and I say this as only a casual fan, the hardcore guys were freaking out, but the amount of insight that we got in during that opportunity was incredible. These 2 individuals that are going to win this raid with the devs, this won't be streamed. This will be used sitting in a room with 3 Destiny developers just shooting the breeze. They'll obviously, I don't think you're going to get the secret recipe for the special sauce. I can tell you that these guys will definitely be a lot more relaxed. It'll be a really cool opportunity. And how many times do you get to play with game developers in a game of the caliber of Destiny 2? It's absolutely incredible.
Right. Yeah, that's I might have to see about entering that myself. I love Destiny 2. I've been playing it for a little bit. Not quite as hardcore as some of these other folks, but nonetheless, being able to sit down in the room with one of the developers and just talk about the game while you're playing it with them, it's freaking awesome.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about something else that's, I don't know if awesome is the word to describe this story. But, so we have a story off of, this is coming to us off of Fox News' tech blog. And so the Russian Ministry of Defense on Tuesday tweeted out irrefutable proof of collusion between the United States and ISIS in Syria. Now, this is something I would imagine that would have mainstream media outlets exploding in the U.S. in an uproar, right? Well, maybe not if the irrefutable proof that they were using was a cropped image from a mobile phone game and grainy photos from over a year before. These photos were posted to social media on Tuesday by the Russian Ministry of Defense. They accused us of doing something in Syria here very recently. And I love that a video game, like if you look at this picture, it looks pretty legit. I mean, video games are getting pretty on point with their stuff these days. So kudos to AC-130 Gunship Simulator Special Ops Squadron. Jeez, I hope that is a poor translation from another language, and nobody thought that a 3.5 paragraph video game title would be great for mobile. But congrats to these guys. You have now nearly created an international scandal. Luckily, this was all discovered very quickly. Twitter users, of course, got all over it. The Russian Ministry of Defense ended up deleting the tweet and blamed the post on a quote-unquote lower-level civilian employee. So I'm guessing Ivan the intern no longer has a job at the Ministry of Defense. Sorry, that seems like a fun cartoon. I would watch that, Ivan the intern. No, like what do you? I don't even know where to. There's so many different directions to go in with this. What do you think about our video games being used as proof of international military collusion?
I think pretty soon the North Koreans will have nuked Washington and all of the United States virtually and claimed world victory and domination while they're playing Command and Conquer. So I think that if this is the apex of our collusion, then I'm okay with that. That's really something else. I mean, it's great that video games can be used for training. I mean, we use video games for training. We use it for a lot of different things militarily. But I never realized that it could be used for propaganda. But hey, why not, right?
I'm now imagining like an ISIS hoorah video, like some sort of motivational video for them. Then at the end it has a clip from CS:GO that just says "terrorists win," and they're all cheering and
the caliphate has been established. The terrorists win. Yeah, it's really interesting. I think that there was another thing with the Chinese military. So it's not uncommon for governments, foreign governments, to take things off of the internet or video games or even movies, for that matter, and spin them into propaganda, whether they're trying to blame some other country for something or they're trying to prop themselves up with their own civilians, so their own populace. So China did this a few years back with the movie Top Gun. And basically what they did was they took the movie Top Gun and used that as training video to demonstrate the capabilities of their new F-22, F-35 stolen clone variant trial runs or something like that. And it was the point where the MiGs, they were the training planes were getting blown up out of the sky, and somebody was able to find that clip in Top Gun and be like, oh, look, that's where that came from. Okay, I guess Chinese are full of shit. So this isn't the first time that something like this has happened. It won't be the last time. But hey, I'm waiting for something to come through with Arma, or something like that, where there's definitive proof of some military victory somewhere, or I don't know. Maybe what they'll do is we'll get somebody will do this, so they'll have a little thing, like some surveillance drone footage in Arma, and they'll make a model of Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin doing something there, right? And then they'll say that's true, and somebody will believe it. Wrestling bear. You
What
know,
was that?
some of our friends at Tiny Build, will recognize that reference. Donald Trump out there wrestling the bear.
Oh my good lord! Who's there? Is there something else we can talk about?
Yes, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
So it's a great segue, right? Go ahead and toss one up to me. I'll knock it down. So this is a pretty stupid thing to do, right? So the Russian military, the Russian government's going to look at this and feel pretty dumb. Well, happily, there's other mechanisms by which video gaming may actually enhance your intelligence. So there's been some studies being done specifically related to how IQ is enhanced through video game play. Particularly or specifically, they were talking about League of Legends and Dota 2. And apparently there was some research being done with IQ tests and the ways that people interact when they're playing these games with regards to like spatial awareness, decision making, memory, that sort of thing, where apparently people are actually getting higher IQ scores after playing these games. MOBAs in particular. Now, they also apparently did some work or some research with regards to first-person shooters. And those are more Twitch-based, more reactionary sorts of games. They didn't find the same sorts of increases in intelligence quotient that they did with strategic games. And this isn't uncommon. This isn't like new science. I wouldn't say, because there's been a strong correlation between people who play chess very well and higher IQs. Now that being said, Cuddles, I understand where they're coming from with this study, but at the same time, I have a hard time swallowing this research, particularly because one of the things that they don't talk about is a benchmark. So usually what you need is a control group, right? You need a control group for any kind of a decent study, particularly one that's you're trying to do statistics with. But also you have to have a benchmark. Like, how smart were the people playing when they started and how smart are they now, right? If there's a delta there, for all we know, these people could be, complete geniuses and they've gotten dumber. But by virtue of taking an IQ test, they do well. So, oh gosh, wow, they've learned something. So there's some holes in this research that aren't in this article. I imagine there's probably a more in-depth research in a paper that's written on it. But I find it more difficult. I find it, and maybe you can shed a little bit more light, particularly with regards to Dota, because they named these games specifically, Dota and League of Legends, as the case studies. How are these, on a strategic level, more complicated than chess? So, if anyone's unfamiliar with MOBAs or multiplayer online battle arenas, this is your League of Legends games where you're laning against turrets and minions and things of that nature. It was once explained to me that League of Legends is for Heroes of the Storm players that want something a little bit more complicated. And Dota is for League of Legends players that think League of Legends is way too easy. These games get extremely complex. There's all sorts of permutations of options, of skill build outs, of things that you can add to your character to boost them or help them. It really is I have much more knowledge of League of Legends than I do of Dota. And League is you're talking about 100 some odd characters that all have their own abilities, that can all be buffed in unique ways, that can all have unique items that you have to do on unique maps against unique opponents each and every time. Like it's incredible. I think you may have hit on something though with the nature of their research and I think their
their claim may be a little bit more less that maybe video games improve your intelligence, but I think my takeaway is maybe that intelligent people are drawn to these sort of games.
Sure.
Anyone that I know that is successful, and I mean successful like actually playing a MOBA, anybody that I know in that realm is extremely, if not scarily, intelligent. These guys are super smart, and there is where in chess you have thousands and thousands and millions of permutations. I have a book that's probably about 9 inches thick. That was the MCO, Modern Chess Openings, and I'm sure my edition is about 15 behind now. But it was every like professional game, every different like thing of different moves and everything. Now think just if this was just one hero versus one hero, League of Legends right now has probably over 100 heroes. Somebody can correct me if I'm horribly wrong. But think about just 100 v 100 in the mathematical, like the stats of all of those going together and what that means mathematically. Now throw in minions, now throw in varied maps, now throw in all their potions and lotions and pottery and I don't know, all the accoutrements that can slightly change every single encounter. You're looking at a vastly complex game that's a little bit more than they mentioned it in here. FPS being, muscle memory and reaction time. There is a amount of intelligence necessary in FPS, but it's very much, I don't know, I would say it's more street smarts than book smarts. Whereas guys that are really into these MOBAs, they're if not traditionally book smart people, they're book smart, like in that very structured thinking sort of way.
So let me throw this out then. In that case, so you're talking about. So I'm not arguing that the number of possible combinations. As soon as you start doing combinations, you start going exponentially the number of combinations for each of those particular permutations, right? So if you've got 134, and I don't know if you run like one hero, or you run multiple heroes. There's some math to figure out the number of possible combinations, and it's going to be a big number.
Well, now, and that's only reacting to 1v1 situations. You're running 5v5 teams, so that you then take that 1v1 and then turn that into 1v2, and then all of those up. And I mean, like there's a lot going on in these games.
Well, here's the point I'm trying to make, though. And Dragon Tamer mentioned something in the chat that the IQ tests are a measure of ability to solve problems. It's definitely true. There are autistic people who are highly intelligent at doing particular things, particular tasks. Now, that being said, how would that compare to like a game like Magic: The Gathering, right? Where it's the same kind of thing, where you can have multiple groups of people, you can have hundreds or thousands of different cards. I would say that there's more combinations with regards to those trading card games than there are with a match like Dota. I imagine that calculus could be extended to those sorts of games as well. What do you think?
Well, I definitely think. I mean, if you're keeping up with Magic, like actually keeping up with Magic and every year's release and all the different things that. See, I think that the one thing that I would take away from card games, is that there always settles into a meta. So in all
League
reality,
of Legends doesn't.
Yes, but I would say it's adjusted more frequently than I would say video games are adjusted more frequently than a once a year rollout. Yes.
Well, okay, but if you've got
so for example, Hearthstone, to be semi-successful in Hearthstone, to be functionally competitive on their competitive ladder. I would say working into single digit numbers on the ladder. You literally need to only be aware of about 5 or 6 other decks. Because those are the only decks that get played at that level. I don't, is League like that? I don't know. I imagine there's 134 different people to pick from. You pick a couple different people. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the same thing could be said for a trading card game, but there's a random component with trading card games as opposed to, so maybe it's a different meta, right? So you have your heroes that you choose for Dota and League of Legends, and those are always in your deck, as it were, right? And it's just a matter of moving those pieces strategically, as opposed to a game like Magic or trading card game where there's a certain amount of randomness available to that. So I don't know. Honestly, I might posit that if this study is talking about, and like Dragon Tamer said, that a measure of intelligence is the ability to problem solve, I would say that having a random element in that enhances the necessity for problem solving. But that's just me.
You know what? I hate this conversation, but I don't hate it nearly as much as people hated EA these last couple of weeks. This article is from the HuffPost, and video game company EA now has the most downvoted comment in Reddit history. Over 200,000. That's right, 200,000 downvotes in less than 24 hours. So for those that haven't been following this story, EA just recently released Star Wars Battlefront 2. Now there was a lot of kind of hype and a lot of issues around Battlefront 1. There was no single player campaign, which I think any Star Wars fan wants to go on that mission and go do the thing and be the hero. It was all multiplayer, and then there was all sorts of issues with that. However, Star Wars fans being Star Wars fans, they've stuck around and they were ready for Battlefront 2 until EA announced its microtransaction plan. Now, they had stated most predominantly that Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader would require about 40 hours of gameplay each to unlock. Now, to put this in focus, your normal average AAA title that somebody goes out and pays $60 for probably doesn't have 40 hours of gameplay, much less 40 hours to unlock the person that you actually want to play as, and then another 40 to unlock Darth Vader. People were understandably upset by that, but then they offered up their microtransactions and the fact that you could purchase these things. And so EA, someone did the math, some enterprising Redditor. Thank you very much, whomever actually took the time and put this in a calculator. But the amount of time it would take to unlock everything in the game would be approximately 4,528 hours.
Oh my God.
Or you could bust out your wallet, shake some spare change from the couch, see if the dog is holding on to any bearer bonds that you can cash in. Because you can get all of the content in Star Wars Battlefront 2 for the low price of $2,100. People were of course upset by this. As of the writing of this article, which was about 6 days ago, it had been downvoted more than 678,000 times. To give you an idea, Reddit, a notoriously toxic community that doesn't like fun people or puppy dogs. The next most downvoted comment on the site is 23,600. So the internet woke up, and the internet threw a hammer at EA. What have you thought about this whole hubbaloo? They've kind of backed off on it a little bit, but they haven't fully, and now we're starting to see repercussions.
So apparently I guess since all of the what'd you say, hubbaloo?
Hullabaloo.
This all of this hullabaloo, this crap, this garbage, this stuff that EA decided to throw out. Like, so you have to be Hans Gruber, since we're going to go on the bearer bonds reference here, to purchase all this crap. They have since removed the microtransaction mechanism. However, thank you, Internet, for giving EA the swift kick in the ass that it needed. So here's my opinion on that sort of thing. Now, there could be a strategic reason for doing that. And here it is. And I'm not trying to defend it. I'm just trying to think of it from a perspective other than being pissed off. So you have a mechanism by which you have to spend an inordinate amount of time to unlock a particular character or set of abilities or what have you. You begin to incentivize the microtransaction, right? So there's a business angle there, obviously. I mean, all of this is business angle related. But then what you do is, if all of the microtransactions are situated in such a way that it would cost you thousands upon thousands of dollars to unlock everything, what that requires for you as a consumer is to be strategic about those purchases that you make. And so I don't know that it's necessarily a mechanism by which to try to draw blood from the stone, as it were, but rather to try to get you as a consumer to think more strategically about how you make those microtransaction purchases, and to do so in a way that is focused. And in that way, you're not going to have, well, you may, but you're going to have a far less number of people who have everything, and far more people who have a couple things. So that's not to try to make an excuse for it, but I can kind of see where there might be a strategy involved. But damn, I think they kind of dropped the ball on that one, at least according to Reddit.
Well, the thing that I've been really curious about is their wording of their initial response, their initial blog post, was that they were taking it out for a time.
So it's not permanent. So they just said, well,
I do not know. I'm actually, guys, if you give me 1 second, I'm going to ask my producer for confirmation on that.
Oh, don't ask Sketch. He doesn't know. He'll tell you something. He just said, I don't know.
Okay. Our producer, evidently our production team knows nothing. Apologies.
We know that it got taken out, but we just don't know the duration.
Well, their original wording was that they were taking them out for it. Like, there was something in there that they were very like walking around it, and not saying that they weren't not going to do it. But I think one of the most interesting things about this was some of the, if you haven't noticed this, there are actually some countries which are taking legislation now and calling microtransactions, which in the form of EA, you were going to be able to use, I think it was, and forgive me for getting the vernacular wrong here, but you were going to be able to use gems to buy chests or something of that nature. So much like in Overwatch, I can use my US American dollars to get a chest, right? But inside of that chest, I don't know what rewards are in there. So there are actually governments that are now taking this a little bit more seriously, and considering taking things like this as gambling.
Interesting.
First of all, I think that's a unique discussion in and of itself. But what happens to the industry if microtransactions go away? Do we see $100 video games?
Right. That's an interesting thought. I mean, I can see where the governments would try to legislate that sort of thing again, because it's just a dice roll, and but I don't know. It's hard to gauge, because you are actually getting something of value for the microtransaction. But again, there's that random number generator, right? RNGesus is going to come along and decide whether you are, blessed or damned. And therefore, yeah, so I can see where it's gambling. I really can. But by the same token, it's like you're getting something at least. So anyway, but just before we move off, Dragon Tamering chat quotes, the ability to purchase crystals in game will become available at a later date, only after we've made changes to the game. Now that's broad. And I can see where they're trying to step over or around the landmine that's already detonated. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and that was exactly, DT, thank you so much for finding it. That's exactly the verbiage that that makes me, like, it makes me nervous, because I wasn't one of these people that was totally, like, upset, angry, and carrying my, like, I could care less. I'm probably not going to get Battlefront 2. Sorry, EA. But quite frankly, you flubbed up Battlefront 1, your launcher sucks, and you're doing stuff like this to rip people off. It's one of those things where I love some of the products that they put out, but I really dislike the way that they're doing business. But hey, EA, you got smacked on the hind end here. So GG. Guys, we're going to with the spanking of EA on the butt, we are going to get out of here as though we have been thoroughly spanked upon our bottoms. But before we do, guys, do not forget that the Holidays of Osiris event is coming up in just a couple weeks. We're only gonna have one more. We're only gonna have one more Red Shirt report before that happens. If anyone is interested in that, Sketch is gonna drop a link in chat. There's a sign up form on that. Get with me. Come grab me. I would love to talk to you about how you can get involved. And as always, if you know anyone in the Destiny community who is not a part of the Stack Up community, bring those guys on in. And if you know any streamers that you'd like me to get in touch with, please let me know. As always, you can find me at the Game Case on Twitter. And it's Wednesday night, so Red Shirt Raider game night, guys. bit.ly/RSR Discord. That's bit.ly/RSR Discord. Go over there, join those guys for some fun, for some crazy times, for some good laughs, and probably some foul language. Right. I know this evening they're playing PUBG. We just got a WoW guild set back up. I think those guys are running over on the Horde side.
My God! Really?
Bastards.
I know. Go Alliance.
I have like a middling level Horde. No, for the Alliance. I have a middling level Horde, but like I've gone far enough where I don't want to start another one now. Like if I'm going to finish a Horde character, I'm going to do it on the one that I anyway. You guys put spikes on everything. It doesn't like I like to lean a lot. So like it would just be dangerous. I can't do it.
You're lazy. Lazy Tauren. All right.
Yeah.
By the way, they play other games too. So
do they?
Yeah, we were playing Overwatch the other night. We were playing. There's the WoW Guild. There's Destiny 2. There's PUBG. I think from time to time they get on there and play Fortnite. There's lots of other games that the Red Shirt Raiders go and play throughout the week. So it's not just Wednesday nights. Pop on there, the Discord. There's usually something going on. So anytime you feel like playing a game with some folks, drop in.
Yeah, and if there's a game that you play that you didn't hear, hop on over there because I guarantee you can find at least one friend, unless you're still playing The Division. I'm sorry, that game's dead. And with that, guys, we are going to bid you a fond farewell from all of us here at StackUp.org. Be good to yourselves. And be good to each other. For the Alliance!
For the Alliance! Let the Alliance win! Horde sucks sores, my butt sores!